Welcome, fellow trash! I'm gonna post some cringe on the internet! Now before we start, I do want to say that I know I said this was gonna be some weeb shit I'm gonna do here, which is partly true, but I will be posting some more educational and serious things from time to time. But today is not that day. Today, we're gonna be talking about a manga, and it's this one. BAM! Change the World,今日から殺人鬼 is a manga that began serializing in 2018 and is at the time of filming this video at 4 volumes. It is written by Kanzaki Yuuya, who you may know from works such as Uroboros or Funohan. Before I get into what this manga is about, I do want to give a quick warning that I will be speaking about themes like suicide and depression. So if you're not in a position to be thinking about stuff like that, don't. Also, I will be giving away the premise of the story, so if you just want to trust my judgment, I will leave links down below where you can purchase it. Now, onto the story. The story is set in contemporary Japan. We're immediately introduced to our protagonist, Saito Yuichi. He opens with this monologue where he states that this is a story about finding himself, a story of boku and ore, which I'm gonna make a whole video on that. So we immediately know that there's a life-changing event about to unfold. He goes on to talk about his life, and we learn that he's this total NEET, which is somebody who's not in employment, in education, or in training. He had several jobs here and there, and he also spends a lot of time in internet cafes. We also learn that everybody in his life seems to feel let down by him, be it his family or his bosses and so on. Needless to say, he has no friends, partner, ambition, or anything like that. He views himself as this complete loser and waste of air, so at the turn of the year he decides to kill himself. He goes to an abandoned love hotel where he decides to hang himself. As he goes about his business, he's thinking about how cool it would be if he could be reborn as somebody completely different from himself. But then, something else attracts his attention. In the corner of the room, he sees a man sitting on the floor against the wall. Next to this man, he notices a gun. He picks it up, but then suddenly he hears a voice behind him telling him to put his hands up. He's completely startled by this, and all he can see is the silhouette of a man who is shooting at him. And without thinking, Yuichi shoots back. When Yuichi wakes up again in an unfamiliar room, he goes to look at himself in the mirror. To his shock, he looks completely different, meaning handsome as shit. Strange men walk into the room, telling him how glad they are that he's alive, all the while calling him Mitsumune. He soon learns that the man he fired at earlier is a police inspector called Mitsumune. So apparently, while they were shooting at each other, their bodies must have switched, or Mitsumune must have died, right? And although shocked at first, Yuichi is very happy with the new situation. He is now popular, handsome, has this awesome job, and his huge ass house. And one day, while he goes to explore the house, which is so huge that you probably need some days to explore all of it, I guess, he stumbles across the cellar. Thinking nothing of it, he goes in, checks it out, only to find body upon body. But the most shocking of all, he gets a call by somebody he completely forgot about, Mitsumune. Now, during this call that Yuichi gets from Mitsumune, Mitsumune explains to him that he's gonna go after him and explains in detail how he's gonna kill him. That's all I'm gonna say for now about the plot. Now, this premise is not exactly original, but what I like about this story is how it approaches themes like suicide. Disgusting. Now, I know I said before that I'm gonna be talking about themes like depression, but I'm not sure if Yuichi is actually depressed. His decision seems less to be formed out of depression, rather it seems like a rational thought. He's just like, well, nothing good coming out of this life, guess I'll die. Some scenes are legitimately dark, but some scenes depict how silly human beings can be, even in the most distressing of situations. A good example of this is when Yuichi first wakes up as Mitsumune and plays with his face in the mirror instead of fainting or whatever. In general, this manga is pretty funny, I think. It does not lack humor, but if it's your type of humor, I don't know. And even though it's pretty funny a lot, if not most of the times, there are scenes that are legitimately dark. Some scenes are pretty graphic, not the worst I've seen, but just putting it out there. But be warned that there will be depictions of violence against humans. At the core, nevertheless, lies the question, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to have ambitions? What does it mean to give your life meaning? What does it truly mean to care not only about yourself, but life in general? If you change this and that about yourself, will you be happy? Everybody in this world has flaws. Some people have secrets that are so dark that if you knew about them, you're just glad you're not them and you're glad to be you. Much like Yuichi wishes to go back to his uneventful life. Some people now might not like jokes about themes like suicide, but personally I think that humor is one of the better ways to cope with life's tragedies, which just keep coming. Some problems that could arise with the story as it progresses could be that the author won't give enough attention to the main protagonists, the two men the story is ultimately about, by introducing new characters you might not care as much about. This whole chasing each other thing could make for a very exciting story. Of course we should care about what's gonna happen to them in the end. How are they gonna resolve this conflict? And I'm very curious to see where he's gonna take this whole story. And although I do love dark comedies, I hope that the author won't dive too much into the absurd, so that there will be a balance of comedy where it makes sense and proper mystery and darkness. At best, this manga could be a fun dive into the human spirit and what it means to give life meaning. At worst, it's an entertaining story with some gore. The art is good, it's focused on the characters and their facial expressions, beautiful, and at some scenes it's very dark, which are my favorite scenes. The action scenes are also very dynamic and sometimes even thrilling. The author's two other works also deal with police, crime and assassins and stuff like that, so it's no wonder that he chose a similar theme for his newest work. Yeah, so I guess he must be really into this kind of stuff. And I suppose that Funohan and Uroboros are more known outside of Japan than satsujinki. So I hope that it sparked some of you guys' interest. And if you do read it, let me know what you think about it. If you hate it, then just rant. I will leave the links for the physical and the digital copy down below. And if you've made it this far, thank you for your time.